Don't be a sheep. One of the biggest problems that the majority of us, as by definition of what the sheep usually are, the majority of us follow, not just follow other people, but we follow ideas, we follow celebrities, we follow all these different trends and things going on in the world. And we usually, not always, but usually the majority of people follow them aimlessly, without any meaning of to why they're following them. They follow them thinking that they're real, that they really present value, that they represent real life situations and real life people. And we follow the media, we follow so many different sources of bullshit. And a lot of the times we also don't even input and think for ourselves if they are true, if they are right, if we should be following them in the first place. And when you don't consciously decide and think about the content or the media that you are following and listening to every single day, and the people, most dangerously, the people you are following or learning from every single day, if you don't weed out what's bad from what's good and from what's going to positively impact you from what is not doing anything good for you, you, my friend, are a sheep. Now, what exactly is wrong with being a sheep? You know, people a lot of times think it's okay to just kind of do what everyone else does, to be just like everyone else, to not be themselves, to not think on their own, to not, do you see where this is going? There are a lot of large problems that are associated with being a Scherson, or being in the sheeple, or as being a sheep follower of others. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't follow people or ideas or certain media outlets if they are presenting information to you, and if you are filtering the information and thinking very heavily on the ideas you are being presented and thinking for yourself, what I'm learning, what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, is this true? Is this accurate? Is there another side to the story? Because often so many people listen to a single media source, or listen to Republicans, or listen to Democrats, or listen to whatever the case may be, and they believe everything they hear, or they believe the majority of what they hear without filtering any of what they're listening to. And when you do this, number one, you start to not be yourself. And many people, this might be confusing, but what this means is, what happens is you start absorbing all these other facts and figures and opinions and thoughts and ideas into your personality and into who you are and into your talking points. And if you don't think with your own mind about whether they are true, whether they are accurate, whether they are right, whether they are ethical, you start to present them in who you are and in your identity and in the information you give out to others. And you also give it out as true because you believe that, if you haven't thought it through. Now, sometimes you can follow someone or a media source or a person or an idea that you think is right, and later on you find out that themselves and yourself was wrong. And that is okay. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to follow people and be mistaken. But this is why it's so important that when you hear information, that when you follow people that you really like or appreciate, that you think are wise or intelligent, or that are going to be helping you in some way or another, or whether you think you're following someone or an idea that's bad or that you don't like, you want to thoroughly think about the ideas, ethics, morals, and about the facts that they are presenting, or that they think they are presenting, and think through them on your own. Think through them with your own filter. Because if you don't, you're just like a sheep. You're just like everyone else who just follows blindly information and context they are shown. When this happens, and this might be you right now, but maybe it's not, a lot of the times people truly do become sheep. They get group thinking, and they think that everything that the media from a certain source or from a certain leader says is true, and that's factual, and that's the only information that's right. And this causes a lot of problems because it could be wrong, it could be terribly wrong, ethically wrong. Just think, for example, about the Holocaust. Think, for example, about Venezuela. Think about all the places and countries in the world, and all the corrupt things in the world that have a lot of people following them, that have hundreds of millions or millions of people or hundreds of thousands of people following these ideas. Just because a lot of people believe an idea or believe a person or believe whatever the case may be, a company is right, doesn't necessarily mean it's so. So please, think for yourself. when you are hearing information, when you are digesting what you're reading through the newspaper or media, if you read the newspaper anymore, whatever the case may be, a YouTuber, you want to make sure that number one, you are processing information that's good for you, that you're going to learn from, that's a new and unique perspective. You want to make sure that it's not extremely biased information. If it is biased, that you really make sure you are digesting it in a careful way so you're not learning or not accepting something that is false or wrong. And don't get me wrong, a lot of times it seems like the masses are right. It seems like this guy really is bad and he really needs to get out of office. Sometimes it seems like he's really good and he needs to stay in office. Sometimes it seems like a certain idea, perspective, or person, or celebrity, whatever the case may be, is right. Because if Bob thinks it, or Jesse thinks it, or Layla thinks it, it has to be right. But a lot of the times the masses are wrong. And you don't want to be some sheeple, some shurson, some sheep that is following it to the death, or that is following an ideology that is both wrong and that it can be harmful to yourself. For an example, look at the protests that were going on in my own state, Minnesota. There was a lot of people who were protesting, and what did that protesting lead to? A lot of people said, oh, the protesting is peaceful, it's going to be fine. And what did it lead to? It led to over 100 businesses being burned down to the ground. So were the masses that believed it was just peaceful protesters, were they right? No. The people who believed this is going to get worse because of the messaging, because of a lot of different factors, that it was going to turn violent, they were right. And it did. And a lot of people actually died because of these riots that were going on. So my friend, this is just a short lesson on why you want to make sure you are not a sheep. Do not follow the masses. Don't follow the minority either. Think for yourself. Use your own brain. Does this idea that you're hearing from your friend, from a colleague, from a family member, does it make sense? Is it accurate? Is it ethical? Is it right? Think for yourself. And you'll be more successful. You will see more results. And you will be a better and much more improved person every single day of your life. I can promise and guarantee you that. Don't be a sheep. Be yourself. Think for yourself. And I'll see you in another video very soon.